Welcome to the Wide World of Esports, a show devoted to all things esports. I'm your host, Katharine Nohr. Today, my guest is Rebecca Dixon, CMO and co-founder of theGamers. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Katharine. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. And so, what is theGamers?
So theGamers is a media platform and social network for women who game. We launched in March of 2020, and we exist on all the social media channels. We host events for women in gaming and esports, and we basically exist because, as you know, women make up almost 50% of gamers worldwide. And that is something that's not really reflected in the media, in protagonists, in the percentage of developers, and in scholarships for esports, really anywhere. And so we figured if we created a media platform that took the women who are in gaming, the women in the industry, the women like you, any possible women who already are doing amazing things in gaming, and if we sort of elevated them to a bigger platform, celebrated them, it would sort of normalize the fact that, guess what, women game. And so we've done that. And at the same time, that's sort of what we do externally. And then internally, we have created a community where women who game can come together in a safe and inclusive space.
You are so right, Rebecca, because I really have a hard time finding female guests for my show. And what's interesting is people ask to be on my show all the time, and usually they're not women who ask. And when I saw you pitch your company at the Esports Trade Association, I thought for sure that you would be a fantastic guest. So congratulations for winning.
Thank you so much, Dave. That was an honor. We just joined the Esports Trade Association this year, and it's such an important association. And I was honored to win because it made me feel like, the trade association of the industry is really behind our mission. We like to say that we're a for-purpose company. And so it was a total honor to win because there were also a lot of other wonderful, people presenting their companies. And that's what's kind of neat about the esports and gaming industry. There's so much innovation right now. And it's great that it's happening at the same time that there's also a lot of discussion about women and where women sit in the industry and what, what should happen and how, more women should get jobs, more women should be getting scholarships and women should feel like they have a place to go where they're welcomed. So we're really thrilled that the conversation is happening and the industry is open to it.
Now, that was a really fun part of that conference where we had elevator pitches like Shark Tank. Since you're the winner, what recommendations or advice would you give to a company who's pitching to investors?
That's a great question. We pitch a lot. We pitch to investors for our company. We pitch to brands working with us. We pitch just sort of the mission of the company to anybody who would like to listen. And I think, the best tips are, I think, to get a quick summary of the point that you want to get across, really well kind of memorized and be behind it. I mean, it's not hard for me, and I have 3 co-founders. So for the 4 of us, it's not hard for us to pitch our company because we believe in it, right? It's a mission-based company. And we did found our company as a for-profit company instead of a nonprofit, which often we are mistaken for, because we felt like we want to employ women in gaming. We want to get them jobs outside of our organization. And we think that by elevating the other nonprofits and the other brands out there and working with everybody possible, we can do that. And that being said, that's why we do have to pitch a lot. And so I think, just really knowing what are the main points that you want to get across. I mean, for us, the main points are there are a lot of women in gaming and esports. Many people don't know that. The people who do know that it's not reflected in the media and in the percentage of the workforce. And we think that we can make a difference. So if you went away from my pitch and thought that, then we did something right. So that being said, I actually thought it was such a fun thing to be a part of. It was like Shark Tank, and it was kind of fun to see all the different innovative ideas.
Terrific. And so who are your co-founders?
So I have three co-founders. Three of the four of us actually worked together at a company prior to this. We started another company called Mommy Bites, and it was in the parenting world. And why it's relevant to what we do now is one of my co-founders started the company, and then the two of us joined her. And we grew that company. It was a community for expectant and new parents. And we started it in 2006. We grew it over 10 years. We learned a lot about supporting women, about community growth, about working with brands and nonprofits and women. And we also had a networking platform for parents and caregivers. And then we were able to sell the company in 2016. And so we felt like like I said, we learned how to community build. We liked working in initiatives that amplify women. And we had some adjacencies to the gaming world. My dad and my brother are part owners of Team Envy. So esports has been a passion of mine for a long time as a family business. One of my other co-founders from Mommy Bites was doing some toy design in the video game world with Al Khan, who's the visionary behind Pokemon. So, we had all these alignments to gaming and love for, women-based companies. And we were just kind of flabbergasted at first of all, the size of the gaming industry. I mean, it's huge. And the crossover between gaming and esports and lifestyle, music, sports, you name it. We're sort of at one of those moments in time where gaming already is a big industry and it feels like it's about to be even bigger. And then you find out women are half of it. That's just amazing. So we did a lot of research. We said, well, who's talking about this? Is somebody, trying to fix it? And we found out, yes, a lot of people are. They're the nonprofits. There are a lot of women executives throughout the industry who are doing amazing mentorships and speaking on panels and just doing everything they can to change it. But what we thought is we have experience in community building and amplification. And so if we bring that to the industry, maybe we can make a difference. And so we partnered with our fourth co-founder who has a long career in diversity, equity, and inclusion. She's been creating, inclusive spaces at schools and nonprofits and all over the country for years. So, of course, the issues that women face in gaming are very similar to all marginalized communities. And so her experience was just a perfect fit. So that's who they are. And we are unusual in that we have four co-founders, but we're a really great, solid team. And it gives us a lot of bandwidth to sort of divide and conquer with everything we have to do, all the sort of general things that come up with a startup. We only launched in March 2020. So while we have accomplished a lot, we're still a young company and very busy and just trying to. We always say we want to meet anyone in the gaming industry who is aligned with the idea that we should, change the situation for women.
Sure. And how did you come up with the unique way you sell the gamer?
It's so funny. The minute we sort of started creating the idea for the company, we started thinking about a name, and one of my co-founders just thought of it. So then we quickly went online to see if the domain name was available and all the social media handles and all of that. And it's been really fun because it's unique and our branding is really fun. It's a throwback to a lot of, there are a lot of stories behind our logo that include some of the first women in gaming, and it's just kind of a fun retro logo. But that stuff all happened immediately, right as we launched. And yeah, then we just started our socials and started building community, and then immediately started asking the women in the community, what they wanted and how they felt like we could best help the situation. And we've sort of taken that strategy from day one. Look back to the community, run everything by them. We've done many surveys and focus groups, and we've hired women from our community. And it's been a really good strategy for growth.
So some observations that I have about the name is that if you say it out loud, the gamers, it sounds like like women are equal to all other gamers. But if you see it written, you see the specialness of women. But then the logo is interesting because it's sort of like the dating game, like back in the like
Yeah.
70s. So how did you get that idea for that retro look?
We just felt like we wanted to be sort of go back to just gaming as a fun and equal um you know thing. There's no reason that it's not like other sports where you could argue that there could be a difference between what men and women can accomplish. That's not the case in gaming, and so there is really no reason that women aren't complete equals in gaming. If there's a lot written about this that many other people can speak to more eloquently than me, but a lot of it has to do with branding and placement in stores of games in the boys sections, back in the 80s. And so it just gaming somehow became known as a boys pastime. And then, it's also connected to STEM and game development being a career that traditionally comes out of engineering and computer science and all of that. And so there's so many, reasons why we got to the point that we are. And there are also a lot of reasons why we should change the narrative.
Do you think that advertisers, marketers, sponsors understand that women are such a large part of this market?
Yes and no. I think some of them do, and some of them will very soon. A lot, the endemic brands are starting to really get it. I think much sooner. I think they all certainly know. And the non-endemic brands that should be reaching out to women are starting to learn. I mean, there was a great activation recently that Tampax did, and that's brilliant. I mean, women gamers, this is something that's interesting in our Discord, which is where we can really see what our community is all about. Of course, they talk about gaming all the time, and they talk about everything else in the world. I mean, when you have that large of a number of a population, they're going to be interested in everything under the sun, everything from whatever their jobs are to their pets to, anything. So I think that when you think of it from a brand perspective, if you're looking to say, where are our customers? Well, they're certainly in gaming. And I think, one way of putting it that I've heard that really resonated is for somebody who's my age or someone who's your age, you would never ask like, "Are you a movie watcher?" Like, of course everybody watches movies, and that's the younger generation is changing because a lot more people game. But it's also true. It's something also to think about with women. It's not weird to be a gamer if you're female, except the narrative, in wherever it kind of drops off. I think elementary school kids and young middle school kids, girls game, and then somewhere it drops off because it becomes weird for girls to game. So that's the narrative that needs to be changed, and we're trying to be a part of that.
Terrific. And so, how was it to start your company in March of 2020 at the very beginning of this pandemic that no one knew was going to last so long?
I know, it's really funny. So we started strategizing about the company in about October of 2019, and we lightly launched our socials that winter of 2020, and we officially launched on March 2nd of 2020. Our website went live, and that's our launch date. And of course, it was like March 13th, at least in New York, when everything shut down where I am. And here's the thing: we were able to attend two PAXs and meet a lot of women who game, and that was wonderful. We met a lot of people in the industry, and we kind of got out there, so that was great. And then the minute our website was live, the world was pretty much shut down. What I would say is that we have not really existed yet in a world where in-person events happen. We're super excited to be starting to plan in-person events. I think that all those discussions are starting to percolate, and everybody's getting excited. But did COVID help us? Did it hurt us? It's impossible to say. I think The other thing that happened shortly after we launched is the social justice movement, and that has really been an important and significant event in terms of a lot of the things that we stand for. And so I think that that conversation that we have about women and about diversity and equity and inclusion, it was an important conversation already. It just has a bigger sort of national stage now in a more impactful way. And so the conversations that we're having are ones that everybody wants to have. And I think everybody already knew that, but now they really know that. So that I think that has been another event that's happened since we launched that's been really impactful, along with COVID, and just gave a place for this conversation to take place.
So what is the gamers doing to help women in gaming?
So we're doing a couple things. We have um, last fall we hosted the Gamer Awards, and so we launched in March. We spent the first 6 months really building up our presence on all of our social networks, and including Instagram and Twitter and Twitch. And in the end of the summer, we started thinking about having an awards show, because we thought, of course, women should just be winning the awards and the other awards shows, and that's great. And they will, and they are a little bit. But while we're at this period in time where they're not winning enough, why don't we have a gamer awards? And so we did. And that event really, I think, kind of put us on the map in the industry and gave us some credibility. The awards went totally viral. We had hundreds of nominations within days, 72,000 votes by the end of the voting period. And the finale was on Twitch. It was on the front page. It was just, they were a big deal. And so the awards have become our marquee event. We are heavily in the planning stages of the 2021 awards. So that's one thing we do. And I think why it's relevant is it's kind of going back to our original mission, which is to amplify and celebrate women in gaming. And what better way to do that than to host an awards show where we're honoring women all across the industry, from development to cosplay to collegiate esports to, you name it. And this year we're going to launch the website with the awards that we're planning on having, and then we're going to have a feedback section from the community and the industry, and say what are we missing here? What would you like to have? And we're going to kind of regroup, and then have the awards will reflect the feedback we get from that. So that's one big thing we're doing. Of course, we're always doing just content on all of our platforms throughout the year. We had a professional boot camp to facilitate women getting into the industry. We do charity events. We had something called the Dream Stream on our Twitch, which was a continuation of the awards. All the nominees in the streaming categories came on and got sort of another moment in the spotlight. But the other big thing we have coming up is we have an app launching. And so basically right now, if you say, where does your community exist? Our community exists on our socials and in our Discord. And all of those we've been building up to funnel into our app, which will launch in a few months. And the purpose of the app, and it is something that we are doing because of feedback we've gotten from our community. It is to connect women who game. And so basically, the problem that we're solving is, if you are a woman who games and you want to find someone else to game with, sometimes it's hard. Discord leaves a lot to be desired in terms of ease of finding the right person at the right time in the right game, and also in terms of safety and the ability to not be treated in a way that you maybe don't want to be treated as you're trying to navigate all that. So our app, I mean, it's a little bit like a dating app. It connects people who want to game, but then also it's just a social place that has very strict guidelines for security and safety, and it's just a place for women who game to connect. So we're really excited about that. We'll have it in beta shortly and launching in the fall, and we have a lot of people from the community who are going to be testing it to make sure it does the right things. And again, like the awards show, it's also sort of true to our mission. We're trying to create safer spaces for women who game to connect and come together, and also create easier ways for them to get into the industry, to be amplified, to be celebrated, and all of that will happen ultimately in our app.
Are you working on any initiatives in college esports?
Yes, we are. So, after being in the industry for a very short time, we realized if we are going to have an impact on women in gaming, then we need to very intentionally get into the college space, meet the college women, and sort of do what we're doing there. And so we're going to announce imminently, probably next week, what we're doing. But we're doing a number of different things on various campuses and in alignment with some other organizations, just again to we'll have some college specific content, some college specific job facilitation and mentorship. And the purpose again is to make it easier to envision a career and a path to a career in gaming. Also to make it easier to envision gaming in college. And once you start looking at the college space, you automatically then start looking at the high school space. It's like, okay, well, how do the women get to college? Because they're already not getting enough scholarships. So then you kind of have to go a little younger. And so, we're trying to align again. We want to align with anyone who is aligned with our mission. And so it's less about the gamers being the gamers and the gamers being a hub for where everything that is supporting women is going on. And so to that end, yes, we have a lot of fun college stuff coming up. It'll first exist in our Discord and on our website, and then ultimately, in real life. And so it's really fun to think about the world opening, particularly on the college campuses, and particularly at a lot of the gaming events. And we expect to be a part of all of it. So we're really excited. The other thing I want to say about the esports and gaming industry that's been very rewarding is that there's not a lot of or very little pushback at all to this conversation, from women, from men, from publishers, esports teams. The quote unquote problem is there, and everybody's having a lot of conversations about what to do about it. And I think the next step is just let's start doing some of that stuff.
Do you have a podcast?
So we launched actually, and I didn't mention this before. In addition to our website, we launched with a podcast hosted by Kylie Vernoff. Kylie plays Susan Grimshaw in Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the most popular video games in the world. And we were lucky enough to connect with her early on, and she was a big supporter of ours from the start. And she really emulates what we are all about. She's an incredible role model for women who are looking to get into the industry. And her podcast is one where she interviews lots of different people, women and men. She's interviewed her co-stars, she's interviewed developers, and she brings them on and they just talk about, what it's like to be in the industry. So we had season 1 right when we launched, and season 2 was last fall. And stay tuned for more of Kylie. But she has been such a long-term part of our team, and we just love her. So you can check out her podcast it's the Gamers podcast called Let's Play, and it is just wonderful, and it's anywhere podcasts are.
Terrific. And so does the gamers work with any brands?
Yeah, I mean, we have partnerships with lots and lots of different brands and organizations. The first brand that we ever did a deal with was Logitech. So we always like to mention them. After our awards, the awards were so early on in our lifetime as a company that we had tons of companies sort of as strategic partners and supporters, but we didn't even know they would be successful enough to sort of sell sponsorships to. It turns out we probably could have, but right after the awards, Logitech came on as a partner and helped us sponsor the Dream Stream, which is the event I mentioned before that kind of continued the awards celebration. And it was a huge success, and just a really fun event on our Twitch, just to sort of say, okay, there were the winners of the awards, but then there were also all these nominees, and they were amazing too. So they came back on and they all streamed on our channel. But we have a lot of different partnerships. We have many partnerships sort of about to be announced for our upcoming awards. And in terms of how we partner with brands, Again, I mentioned earlier that we believed in being a company and not a nonprofit because we felt like brands today are so, in tune with the idea that content is important and aligning with whatever mission the brand is aligned with. They need to kind of go and find those initiatives in the world to really reach their customers, because customers are looking for brands that are authentic. And so we felt like we could make a difference, a lot more impactful difference for women if we worked with brands. So it's been really fun to see that actually happening in real life, and we're excited to just continue that.
A viewer wrote a question in asking about how women present themselves on Twitch and this concern about whether they should like wear a bikini or whether that would be appropriate, or do you have any thoughts of like that kind of sexualization issue for females in gaming?
Yeah, I mean, it's very tricky. I think that women um are held to a different standard than men on their streams, and that's unfortunate. There are certainly some streamers who, may gain viewers from over sexualizing their look, and then other ones who may lose them, and it's not an easy conversation. From the perspective of the gamers, we just want to celebrate and amplify women, try to get them jobs, try to get them, equal pay, try to get them more just equality in the gaming industry as a whole. And so at the end of the day, a stream is all about kind of whatever you want it to be about. And I think we're all just trying to make it so that women can be judged for their gaming and nothing else. But it's not totally black and white, because we're all held to a little bit of a different standard. So I think at the end of the day, just try to, if everybody can just try to be as kind as possible in the comments, and the best thing that men can do to support women is to support the support of women. So if they are seeing inappropriate chats in games or things like that, leave them. And it's again, it's not a black and white situation. But that being said, we're just here to amplify, elevate, celebrate, and get women more jobs and recognition.
And I think that one of the issues and the reason why you're here is because of that a little bit of that past history of the behavior in gaming. Like you wouldn't need to match women with women and be concerned about safety if there weren't some problems in the past,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, there are documented problems both in, individual games around the world where women are speak on their headset and they're shut out of games, and then also in corporate, in the corporate side of the industry. But the fact that we're having this conversation and that it's had a lot is a step in the right direction, for
How
sure.
can people find the gamers
So
and
we are at the gamers, and it's gameHERs. So at TheGamehers, and we're that everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, our Discord, and soon to be our app. So come find us, join us, and support the mission. I'm so just honored that I was asked to be here. Thank you so much.
thank you, Rebecca. And we learned so much. And thank you to the viewer who sent in the question. And thank you for joining us today. Make sure to tune in next week. My guests will be Simon Stoltz and Marcel Sima, appearing from Europe. They're with Wolfpack Management. They'll be talking about infrastructure projects for esports and gaming. See you then.